Okay, well, I want to welcome everyone here today, and we are going to dive right in because I've got a lot of material to cover in what I would consider to be a relatively short period of time. And so this is a session for those who um, are a bit beyond the basics with your use of your RadarOpus program. If you're not, that's okay. We're recording everything today. And the recording will be available for you, as well as this PDF or what's that thing? PowerPoint presentation that I'm doing will be there for your reference, I believe, posted along with the video. And of course, if you have any questions and you need to get a hold of me personally, you can do that through the RadarOpus team, or at the very end here, I'll have some of my contact info. Okay, so what we're welcome. Marcy Mearns here. I'm very happy to present for you today some tips for mastering the advanced search in the RadarOpus program. Okay, I will try and check this Q&A every now and again just to see if we have a question. But what I'm going to try and do, we've got an hour on the clock, and then we've got 15 minutes at the end. So what I'm going to try and do is go speedy through everything that I've got for you. And I'll peek from time to time at questions, and then we can do some Q&A hopefully at the end of our time today. Okay, so thanks everybody for being here. And the first thing I'm going to do is bring up my RadarOpus program. And let me see if I can get rid of this, all this annoying Zoom stuff that's bugging my screen there. Okay, well, do the best we can with that. All right, so what we're going to do with our RadarOpus today is we are simply going to investigate the search function, and the one that I'm going to share with you is what is the advanced search. Now, upper left-hand corner of my screen, there's the large icon with the search word on it. When I click this search icon, it's going to open up for me a search window, a search tab, if you will. And in this case, it's opening up the advanced search window. Why do I know that? Because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different search fields available. And up in the upper right-hand corner here, you'll see that I have the magnifying glass with the triple dots. If I wanted for some reason to go to the simple search, what's called the simple search, I would click this little the other magnifying glass, but I want to go back. So if you get lost for some reason, you want to go back to your advanced search, there it is. Now, I want to offer you a peek at the settings for the advanced search window. Okay, so the settings is up here in the upper right-hand corner, the little gear. And when I click that settings button, it's going to open up my settings window for the advanced search, or my settings options for the advanced search window. You'll notice there are 3 tabs here. So the first tab, and what I would encourage you to do if you're not familiar with these settings, is set it up like I've got it. And I will tell you that the settings that we're going over here will appear in the first part. Here are some screenshots that I prepared for you. These settings will appear in this PDF for you, so you can go back over that stuff later if you have questions. Okay, so again, we're in the settings and we're in the first tab, which is search options. Default search location. You know, I got to fix that to read all documents. I don't know why it's not, but that's what it's going to be. I'm going to keep default search location for all documents. And toolbar search button goes to the advanced search. What that means here, now that I've got this one set, is anytime I hit that search button up there, it's going to open my advanced search window as opposed to the other one. Use roots and branches by default and show only the results present in the current synthesis view. That's a matter of personal preference, but there we go. So that's our first set of search options. Now, for the options for displaying the search results, you can just go ahead and have a glance at what I've got on my screen here, experiment a bit with those settings. These are the ones I use and recommend. Likewise, when it comes to remedies and results, these are the settings that I recommend for you. Okay, so once you've got your settings ready, you can go ahead and close that advanced search window back up. Now, if you want to follow along, that's great on your own program. If you get stuck at some point, I'd encourage you to just put the mouse down, put your keyboard down, and just watch, because I'm going to run through this stuff real quickly, and then you can go through the video at your own speed later. Okay, now give me a minute while I bring up my own cheat sheet here. Where did that thing go? Okay, I want to make sure that I'm going to get the cheat sheet going for you. Okay, so first thing we're going to look at is, what are we searching for? All right, now we've got, as I mentioned, 4 different search fields here, and let's start with this very first field over here in the far left, which, if you'll notice, as I mouse over this little button in gray here, it says search words in English. Okay, so we're going to do something really simple, and I'm just going to put in a couple of words that I want to search now. I'm not talking about where I'm doing any searching. Actually, I've got this set. Let me set this. You see up just above there, it says search in all repertories. I'm going to do a real quick trick here. Is I'm going to go to my repertories, list of repertories, by opening the table of contents, and I'm going to open my synthesis treasure edition. Okay, just by clicking on the title of the book, that tab opens up here. Now I've got my synthesis open, and there's a method to my madness. Let's go back to our search tab. Now I've got synthesis open, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my search here for this part of the presentation to search in all open repertories. Well, logic would tell us the only place I'm going to be searching, because the only repertory I've got open is the synthesis. Okay, so for our search words, we are going to start with typing a simple word in English, and I think I have a little sample here, which would be, let's just search for the word heat, H-E-A-T. Now you'll notice as I'm typing, a pick list comes up. The word I want will at some point be highlighted. And when I see that word highlighted, I don't need to use my mouse or anything. I can hit the Enter key to select the highlighted word in blue. Now, this is not ready to search yet. Why do I say that? Because everything is still grayed out. I've typed in my word. I've hit enter to add that word to my search field here, but I've got to hit the enter or return key one more time. And what that does is it locks in that first search term. You see the blue checkbox here, and we see that this little drop arrow, which we'll look at in a minute, is also blue. The cursor has now dropped down to another line, which is inviting me to enter a second search term if I'd like to do so. If I don't want to, all I've got to do my search, which would search in open repertories only, in other words, the synthesis, it's going to search for the word heat. Let's just do that real quickly. So I'm going to hit enter again. And there we go. If for some reason you hit enter a couple times, your search doesn't launch, you can always get this little magnifying glass here in the upper left-hand corner. So what I've got for the results of my search is every place where the word heat appears in the synthesis repertory. I'm using the Treasure Edition 2009 version. Now, in the lower left-hand corner, you may recall that we have the table of contents. We can make those available and show those. This is also going to tell us down, this table of contents is turned into what I call the results of search window. And in the lower left here, it tells me that I've had 3,258 hits. In other words, 3,258 times that the program has found the word heat in my synthesis repertory. And you see a list of those rubrics here. So let's just say that we want to do a couple of search terms, because this is, how useful is that? I'm going to go to my second search field here, and I'm going to just type the abbreviation for aggravates, because I know that's in my repertory, and I'm going to put heat ag. Now remember, I've got to hit my word is highlighted, I'm looking for, I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to hit enter one more time. And finally, the last time when I hit the return key, I have now done a search for the words heat and aggravate together in my synthesis repertory. And it looks like I've now got 400, and is that a 6 or an 8? I can't figure that. Anyway, I've got a little over 400 results for heat and aggravate. Let's look. How did we do our search? It says search words in English here, but if I pop that little button, I have searched as my default all words in the same paragraph, or with all words in the same sentence. This pretty much comes out to be the same thing. Let's try it that way. And again, I get the same 400 plus results. I have other search options here, which we will probably take a look at later. But the idea here is I'm searching for both those two words together. Okay, so we pretty much are all familiar with this. Let's take a look at, first of all, anytime I want to clear anything in my search window, I'm going to use this little blue eraser. All right, I'm just going to double click and it's going to clear everything out. I'm going to go ahead and close that table of contents back up. Now, one of my favorite things to do when I'm doing a search is to get a whole list. And I'm going to kind of try and hit two birds with one stone here. So you'll notice that I've got an icon here, which for a little old-fashioned floppy disk as well as a folder. I'm going to recall a search that I saved previously, and the one I'm going to recall here is called flu modality. So just bear with me for a moment. And what that's bringing up for me, I previously typed in this list of words, okay? Because these are words that I'm often going to be using if I've got an acute of some sort of a fever case or a flu case of some kind. And what I want you to notice here is I can check and uncheck these boxes without having to do a new search. So let's say that I want to do some investigation on the issue of warm drinks. Okay, so I've checked warm and drinks. The rest of these words are here, but they're not going to be involved in my search. I'm going to search just in my synthesis, and let's search those all together in the same paragraph. And I've got a real quick search now. Come on, I'm going to launch that search with my magnifying glass. There we are. And I've done a really quick search for warm drinks in the synthesis off of my list. Now let's say, okay, very good. I can read through these rubrics. I can decide what I want to do. I can take them individually. I can check the boxes in front of the rubrics and select as a group or select individually. My point is, there's my warm drinks search. What if I am now interested, rather than the warm drinks, in looking for the cold drinks? So I'm done with that one. I can just uncheck that box in front of warm, go ahead and check the cold drinks box. And now when I do my search, now I've got the cold drinks situation. Okay, so I like creating these lists of search terms, and then you can either create them on the fly or you can go ahead and save them. The way I would save this, remember I recalled it from the folder, is I'll just hit the floppy disk to save, and I'll give it a name, which is one. This was what I call that flu terms. Okay, for example. And there I've got that list, and I can just pull that up out of that folder whenever I want to and check or uncheck, pardon me, the boxes. Okay, so that's a way to save and recall your searches. Now, let us look at, I think I'm going to move around in my presentation. Already I've changed the order of things. Isn't that always how it goes? I'm going to individualize the presentation. Let me check my Q&A real quickly. See if anybody's having. Adonis will not be part of the search. Why? Because I don't have Adonis loaded. I have it, and I have not had time to load the repertory. So I'm sorry, but everything that we're doing here will apply to one or any of the repertories that you may have available. And somebody wants me to go to full screen. Yeah, I think I can do that. Let's give it a whirl. There. That should be better. The only issue is, no, that should be fine. Yeah. Okay. So before I move on to looking at different ways we can display the information, let's clear all this out. And let's take a look at our next search field. So we've looked at searching for words, and you notice that you can do a list. You can check and uncheck the boxes on the list in order to complete your search. Let's go to the next field here, which is searching for remedies. And the big tip I have for you here, we are going to initiate a search here for one of our favorite remedies, I would think, is pulsatilla. Now, as you remember, when we were typing our word to search, we started typing, in this case, we're going to type pulsatilla. So P-U-L. Now, I get to a certain point, and here comes up this giant list. If I don't want to waste a lot of time here, this is my best recommendation for you. I'm going to get to P-U-L-S. Now, I've still got a big list of pulsatillas here, don't I? But as soon as I type the period for the abbreviation, there's the pulsatilla that I want. Okay, I can hit the enter key once. Now, remember, I've got to have everything highlighted here. So let me hit the enter key again, and to lock in, if you will, pulsatilla as my remedy to be searched. And let's see, we've got search in open repertories only. Let's go ahead and just do a quick, what we would call a remedy extraction of pulsatilla, just like that, by hitting the enter key one more time. And if I want to see how many results I've got, they're about a little over 13,000 rubrics for pulsatilla in the Synthesis Treasure Edition. Now, let's take a look at other search options for pulsatilla. And I'm remembering now, we're going to have to go back to the words window in just a minute. But let's take a look here at the pulsatilla options. Remember, there's this little, this is actually a settings button. You'll notice this blue little button. And when I click that settings button, it's going to open up some options for how I would like to search for pulsatilla. Now, you remember we had like 13,000 results for that remedy extraction. If I would like to limit myself to only pulsatilla in degrees 3 and degrees 4, I can just uncheck a couple of boxes. If I would like to additionally limit myself to rubrics which have fewer or equal to, less than or equal to 100 remedies. So this is going to give me smaller rubrics that have pulsatilla in a high degree. You see how I changed those settings? And now if I say, okay, let's do that extraction again, I'll just run it with the magnifying glass. And I've now got perhaps a more characteristic picture of pulsatilla, if you will, from the point of view of rubrics in the synthesis. You'll notice that I've now got just 1,455 rubrics. Now, so the next thing I'm going to do, oh, I hear somebody. Let's have a look and see if anybody's got, where do these searches get saved? They don't get saved unless you want to save the parameters of your search for some reason. Okay, we are going to, I'm just going to put your Q&As for aside for a moment and carry on. We'll get most of these questions, hopefully will be answered as we go through the presentation here. So you remember I modified my pulsatilla search, didn't I? Now, what if I want to search for more than one remedy and do a comparison of a couple of different remedies? Well, we have provisions for that, just like we had provisions for doing more than one word. So here under remedies, I've got pulsatilla. And if you remember, I modified my settings. Let's go ahead and put them back the way we had them. I'm going to put the full number of rubrics. So if I uncheck that box, it's going to have all the rubrics, and I'll go ahead and put it back like it was, which is searching pulsatilla in all degrees and rubrics of all sizes. Okay, so those settings are good for pulsatilla. Let's compare it with silica just for fun. And remember, this is our technique for quickly getting the remedy that we're looking for in the box here. I'm just going to type S-I-L. Now, I know the abbreviation is S-I-L period. So as soon as I put that period in, silica comes up to the top of my list. It's highlighted in blue, so I can hit the enter key, return. If I hit return one more time, silica is ready to go. Tell you what, let's have fun and let's do a third one. Let's put calcarea in here. So if I do C-A-L-C period, there it is, enter again. And now I'm ready to search 3 remedies. Okay, and to search in open, again, I'm just searching in the open repertories to simplify things. Let's launch the search and see what happens. All right. In the results of my search here, I'm just curious about the number. Well, I got 3,710 hits. You'll notice that every rubric that appears here in my results has all 3 remedies listed. Okay, and this, you see right here, it says pulsatilla and silica and calc carb. Oh, there's my results, 3,710. Okay. How useful is this? Maybe not so much. Maybe you want to do a different balance of these remedies. Maybe you want to contrast and compare. Right here, just above where I've entered the search terms themselves, this little remedies button allows me to select. Now, look here. The first search we did was symptoms or rubrics, if you will, with all of these remedies. If I want to have for each remedy individually, I actually have a selection for that. Let's see what happens when I do that. It's going to probably take a minute, but I want you to see what happens. So I've now done, remember our setting was, what we say, symptoms for each remedy individually. So here I have, starting here from the left, you'll see that this is a tab, pulsatilla, and there's my 13,000 rubric extraction. Here's my extraction. You'll notice I've just moved over and here's a different tab, if you will, for silica. And here on the right is a third tab for calc carb. Okay, so I can actually do multiple extractions at the same time, depending on how I make this setting here for the search parameters. That depends on how this information is going to display. Now, once again, I've got check boxes. So I could uncheck the box for calc carb. And when I repeat the search, I won't get the calc carb tab. But let's look at one of the settings that I like to use and come to fairly frequently, which would be the last one here, which is entitled Symptoms They Have Common and Exclusive. Okay, so it's just the last one on the list. And when I choose that setting, let's launch the search and see what kind of a result we get. Okay, so remember we've got, whoops. So I did it twice. We've got tabs here for the results of our search. And the first tab is a tab that represents all three remedies. So this is the extraction with all three, like we did before. Now the next tab, remember we selected common and exclusive. So this next tab has rubrics that contain pulsatilla, but do not contain either of the other two remedies. So this is going to give us a bit of a picture of pulsatilla in contrast with both silica and calc carb. I've got a third tab here where I've got silica by itself, or should I say exclusively without either pulsatilla or calcarea. And finally, I've got calc carb here without pulsatilla or silica. Okay, so this gives us a way, this kind of an extraction where we do common and exclusive gives us a way to compare the different remedies that we've selected here and see them. What do they have in common? And what are some of the symptoms that are exclusive to those remedies? So how can I use this in a real world situation? Let me see what I have. Which one was I going to use? Okay, I'm going to bring up my, hang on here. First of all, let's just clear this whole Megillah out. We're going to clear everything out and we're going to start over. And I want to use, sorry guys, well, we'll just see which one we're going to open up. I'm going to recall one of my previously done searches. There we go. Let's go ahead and do the, let's do the flu modality search. Okay. Yeah. Are these the, is this the one we had before? I think it is. Okay. So that's my same flu modalities. It's just this list of words, search terms that I had saved earlier. And now what I want to do is, again, I'm just going to compare a couple of remedies here. So I've got my list of words on this side. And now in my remedies, I'm going to go back to my good old pulsatilla again. I'm just going to type PULS period, enter, enter, and then I'm going to do silica, period, enter, enter. Now, what do I want to do? I'm going to look at the common and exclusive symptoms, and I'm going to look at something like drinks, I'm just going to look for the word drinks and these two remedies, okay? Because I'm not sure which one of these remedies might have, well, let's put our cold drinks, okay? Let's have a little fun. We'll put cold drinks, and I'm looking for all the words in the same paragraph. So I'm looking for cold drinks together, and then to compare and contrast pulsatilla and silica. Let's launch the search. And again, I'm still searching in open repertories only. So I've just limited myself to the synthesis, and I've got 3 results here. Okay, 3 tabs down at the bottom for my search. The first tab is cold drinks with both pulsatilla and silica. So here's where the 2 remedies come together with the question of cold drinks. Okay, now here's where cold drinks, this next tab is cold drinks just for pulsatilla. And I'm seeing right away aggravated with ice water, retching after cold drinks. Okay, not so happy with cold drinks. Yeah, let's take a look at silica. Well, silica doesn't like them either, do they? Okay, but we do have Desires ice water for silica, which we don't have for pulsatilla. Why do I know? Because I did my exclusive search here. And if I want to take a peek at that rubric, I have a couple of options. I can click this little plus sign, and it's going to show me all the remedies in that rubric. And of course, you may recall, you can always just double click on any one of these rubrics in your search results, and it'll open that up in the repertory. Okay, let's go back to the search tab. And let's say, well, there's our cold drink comparison for these 2. What if I want to look at, well, I could look at the warm drinks, okay? And I can just launch my search again. Again, I'm searching those 2 words together. And there are my warm drinks, compare and contrast. Silica definitely likes warm drinks. Pulsatilla definitely does not. You see, I've just flipped between the silica tab, exclusive, pulsatilla, exclusive. And of course, this is what they've got in common. They're polycrests. But again, we will see that pulsatilla does come through more strongly in the aggravation and aversion to the warm drinks. Okay. Now, somebody did want to know about saving these searches. I would not normally save a search that includes the remedies, because depending on where I am in my analysis process, I'm probably going to be changing other remedies. And I may say to myself, you know what, I think maybe I was thinking about rust tox in this case. So let me go ahead and add rust now. -T period. Okay, as soon as I know the abbreviation, I can whack that one in there. And let's say I just want to take rust tox versus silica now. Okay, you see, so I just uncheck my pulsatilla. I'm still doing a common and exclusive. I've still got the warm drinks and rock and roll. Okay, so this gives me a window to compare and contrast. Here's silica and rust. Oh, you know what's interesting about this? Even though I've unchecked pulsatilla, it includes it. For some reason, the exclusive warm drinks with it, yeah, that one no longer has anything in it because of the pulsatilla. I still like checking and unchecking the boxes, as opposed to, if you want to erase pulsatilla altogether, if you'll notice here on the right-hand side, I just check the exit out, it's gone. Okay, let's do the search that way. We'll get a bit cleaner result. So now I've got the warm drinks, silica and rust. I've got silica without rust tox, and there's rust tox. Loving her warm drinks. Okay. So, now again, to save the search, I could actually remember the little floppy disk here, and I could say test search sil rust, just like that. And I could get out of this altogether. If I want to bring that back, I can just go, oh, there it is, test search. There it is. Okay. And I can rerun this again later. All right, let's see where we are. I want to go back before we go any further here. So I'm going to erase this. I want to go back to something that I failed to mention when we were starting with our word search. So remember, I think we put in here the word heat, right, in our search words, and we hit the enter key. Now, what we didn't look at are the parameters for this search term. So again, this little blue dot drop down arrow thing. When I click on that, I get an option to search for. Now, the default setting is for roots and branches. What that means is the word we typed in here is heat, but roots and branches is selected, and you'll notice that all of these terms have been checked off. So the program is going to search for all of these terms. I also have the option here in some cases of selecting synonyms. The program will suggest those for you. And I could actually check the box for the word warmth, let's say, if I wanted to. And when I go ahead now, so I've changed the parameters here a little bit. When I go ahead and do that search, I should also get, yeah, you'll notice here that now the word warmth has also been included. So we have heat as well as warmth, and heat also what they call the roots and branches of the word heat, although in this case there aren't very many. Okay, so you do have the option to change these parameters a bit if you so choose. I just normally leave it set on roots and branches. And we saw how to do that here, if you'll recall, in the settings for search options. Use the roots and branches by default. You see that box is checked. Okay, very good. Oh, golly, I'm looking at a huge list of questions. I'm just going to indulge myself and make sure I haven't left somebody totally in the dust. Where does the save function save the searches? Great question. Somewhere on the computer. I wish I could be more specific. I don't really know. What I do know is if you want to go find them, this little folder is going to point you to where they are. Apparently, it saves them in a folder called search queries, which I suppose it's probably somewhere in your RadarOpus folder. Honestly, I never bothered to look. As long as you use these buttons, you're going to be able to save them and recall them right from here. Now, it is the case that you could create a subfolder in your search queries. You could actually make this quite complicated if you wanted to. I'm the queen of keeping it simple. So a list and a descriptive title. So when I'm going to go ahead and save, I want to name the file something that I can remember what it is I'm looking for later. Okay. Very good. Great question. Now, where are we in the process? Just let me indulge myself in my little cheat sheet here. So we saved and recalled. We want to take a look at how we're going to view our search results. Okay. So before we do that, we've got to actually take a look at some different places to search. Yeah. I'm going to bring down that same blue terms search. Okay. I guess I just kind of got hooked on this flu term search because it's so easy. No, you know the one I wanted to use? Sorry about that. I had a tongue one. Here it is, tongue search. You know, this I do a lot in acutes. And so it's kind of nice to have all these search terms here that go with, tongue coatings and things like that. So I don't have to type them all in each and every time. So what we're going to look at now is where are we doing our search? Remember, we've had this set so far to search in open repertories only, but there's a big button here. And of course, the first and what we did set as our default was all documents. So when I set search in all documents, what I have just done is I have searched for the words tongue and white in all documents, and I have got a huge list of results. My table of contents opens up and it shows me, for example, in the synthesis repertory, if I click on the title here in the table of contents window, for the synthesis repertory, I've got 335 rubrics with the words with white tongue. Okay. I searched in all documents, didn't I? Let's take a look at some of the other options that you may find interesting. I could search just in all repertories, and that's going to give me a quick search. And because I'm only interested in repertories in this moment, let's say, I could, and here's one that I've been experimenting with a little bit, is I can just search the materia medica, which would be all references. now all I've got as the result for the results of my search here are important material. Well, all Materia Medica books where white tongue appears in the same sentence or the same paragraph. Yeah. What if I wanted to be even more specific and say all references of this type? Let's just say I want to go to keynotes. Okay. So I'm looking for a specific group of books which the program has already separated out for you, which would be, these are what they're calling keynotes. And the results of my search for white tongue, I've got 53 hits. Okay. Now I can flip through these one at a time. You'll notice that when I click just on the text of each one of these references to white tongue, in this case, I'm in Alan's keynotes and I've got, looks like there are 7. I can just go down this list using I'll go ahead and click through them. So these are all references, but you'll notice they're references for different remedies. Now, a couple of things we can do, and this is where I want to show you, begin to get into how you might take these symptoms if you want to use them in some fashion in repertorizing. And in some of the more advanced packages or the more advanced RadarOpus engine, you can actually take these Materia Medica references and use them as rubrics. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to just right click on any one of these rubrics and I'm going to say, let me select them all. Okay. Now what I've done is I've selected all of Alan's keynotes, because that's the one I'm looking at. I've selected all of those symptoms, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take them as one big group and I'm going to drag them up to a clipboard, and let's take a look at what we have. Okay. I have got rid of that. I've got the actual reference right here and the remedy of interest. So in this first rubric, if you want to call it that, this is a reference for the remedy baptisia. And if I want to go directly into that Materia Medica, I can just double click and there it is. There's the tongue at first coated white for baptisia. Let me go back to the results of my search and let's do something else. Remember, I took all of the rubrics from Alan's keynotes and slapped them up here together as though they were a rubric. There is another way that I can actually display the results of my search here. So right now, you'll notice over here in the lower right-hand corner, neither one of these boxes are checked. First of all, where it says view the summary, ignore, don't use. But if you check the box for view all documents in one list, you get a kind of a cool thing here. What I have now, and I've just slid up to the top of the list, is I've got, remember I did my search for white tongue in keynote style Materia Medica. I got 53 hits, and I now have all 53 of those hits listed here in the results of my search in order of the various books. I could do the same thing here. I've got all these kinds of interesting keynote remedy or keynote Materia Medica, I should say, references for white tongue. If I simply want to right click, select all of those rubrics, let's just take them all. So instead of taking them just from Alan's keynotes, I'm going to take all the white tongues from the keynotes. Let me put them on that same clipboard. And I've now got, how many different Materia Medica references do I have for this thing? I've got, look, antimonium crudum seems to come up. I shouldn't say seems to. We would expect it to come up over and over again in various keynote Materia Medica with the white coated tongue. Okay. So by selecting all and throwing them all onto a clipboard individually, I have a listing of all of those keynote references looking as though they were a rubric. Now, if I want to create one single rubric out of all of these references that I've selected, or Materia Medica, I should say, that I've selected, I can right click again, and I've got something here that says take the selected rubrics, which would be all of them, and or take all the rubrics if I haven't selected them and create a new combined rubric. Let's try that. Okay. So here's a combined rubric. The program does it for me automatically. And I'm just going to say that's fine. So here's my combined rubric. This is, now you'll notice I'm on clipboard 2 now. So what the program did is it took that entire search that I did for the white tongue and basically took all of this and combined them together. It did something like this. If I select all and right click, I can group or combine rubrics. You probably know how to do this. So it would just create a new rubric by combining. Now, I'm not a fan of creating these combined rubrics. Why? Because I've lost the essence of how did these remedies get here? So I kind of like to have the individual references available, even if I just take all of this and leave it alone and I use this one in my analysis. Okay, so again, let's just do one more search here so we can review what we did. Let's search for the red tip. Okay, let's search in all references of this type. Let's search for, just out of curiosity. Whoops, what did I choose there? That went too quickly for my imagination. All references. Well, we'll do the keynotes again. There they are. I searched in all the keynotes. You'll notice that I've got all documents in one list is still selected. That means that I'm seeing the results of each one of these books all together here in one big go. If I right click and take all rubrics and create a new combined rubric, and it's going to put it on the first free clipboard, which in this instance would be clipboard 3. Yeah. So there's our red tip situation. There's our red tip and our white coding. And I've actually got, if I'm just using as though at my word search in Keynote Materia Medica, I've got only 5 remedies here. Let me just right click here and hide all remedies to the right of this remedy. Whoop, I should have hidden all. Let's try that again. Hide all remedies to the right of this remedy. Whoops, I think I went too far that time. Well, it says hidden remedies. If I want to get rid of those, just select them all again. Show selected remedies. There they are. Yeah. So I've got 5 remedies here that have both the white tongue as well as the red tip. Okay, as we would expect. So it's a way to do our Materia Medica search and actually include those results in something that we might call a rubric. Okay, let me just check our question. Oh, it looks like I've either put everybody to sleep or we're just rocking and rolling. I'm going to assume we're rocking and rolling here. And again, if there's something that you've missed, you can go back and review the video later. So I want to review the 2 different ways that we can display the results of our search here. The first would be, and this is our default setting, I'm unchecking this box here that says view all documents in the list. What that means is I'm going to click on the title of any one of my search results, and I will be able to see just the results that come from that particular book. If I want to see them all in a big long list, and I might want to do that if I'm going to select and create a rubric, I can click view all documents in one list. Okay, and again, I can, if I want to, search in all documents. You get to choose. In this case, now I've got view all documents in a list. I'm going to uncheck that box because maybe all I want to see is where does Schroyens have the red tip. Okay, you see what I did? All right, let's move to some other places that we can search. All right, we've searched in the all documents, all open. We searched in all open repertories. That was a handy one. How do I know what documents are open? Well, I'll tell you what, let's go to the Synthesis Treasure Edition tab here. This is our repertories tab. And it looks like that's the only repertory I have open. Let's go to our Materia Medica tab. just for a moment here. And we know that's a Materia Medica tab or a references tab because it's got the little book here, just like on our upper left-hand corner, our big references icon. And you'll notice there's a drop-down list. This arrow drops down and lets me know that I've got other Materia Medica open and available. So these are all the ones that I have open currently. I can actually close them all if I want. Just get rid of them for now. We don't really care, do we? And let's get rid of our analysis window as well. Just going back to our search, I've just got one repertory open. So we can search in all documents, all repertories. We can search in various types of repertories. Not so particularly useful, I have to say. Repertories is pretty much what you're going to do there. And then references of this type, again, you may find this to be useful in narrowing your search. Let's say, for example, that we want to search for, gosh, hate to think of this on the fly, but let's say snakes, dreams of snakes, okay? And let us say that what we want to do, so I want to make sure all words in the same paragraph, and let us search in all provings, okay? Remember that our references had, wow, did not expect this giant result, okay? Now, how am I going to plow through all of these provings that may or may not mention dreams of snakes? First of all, I gotta tighten things up a little bit. I actually want my dreams of snakes to be within 2 words of each other. Okay. It's going to tighten up my search just a bit. And let's go ahead and do it again. There we go. Now in all of our provings here, these are right next to each other. Let's change it within 4 words. Okay. You see what I'm doing here? I'm just changing how close together I need to find the words in the provings. Okay. And now, if I want to take all of these dreams of snakes that I searched in provings for, and I want to create a rubric out of them, let's do this. Let's view all the documents in one list. Remember how I did that? Now, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to select them all. And for my purposes, I'm going to use my last clipboard. I'm going to drag the whole shooting match over here and just throw it on a clipboard. Why? Because I don't want to lose those references. Okay. Now you remember that when we choose to take all the rubrics and make a new combined rubric on a free clipboard. Okay, fine. That's my fear of snakes in provings. But here are the individual references to the fear of snakes. So if I decided later on, I'm working on a case and I said, wait a minute, I want to see where in the lac humanum proving does it talk about, in which lac humanum proving does it talk about fear of snakes? Well, here's my lac humanum and there's the symptom. So I can just double click and I am in Sankaran proving of dreams of killing snakes, actually. Okay. So you see the benefit, perhaps, both of saving the individual results of the search on a clipboard here as the Materia Medica search, because you can go back to those later. Let me show you, for example, let's say I'm considering the remedy sulfur. I'm just jumping around here, SULP. Well, I don't have sulfur in this analysis, but maybe I do have argentum nitricum, okay? So if I just jump to argnit, there's argentum nitricum, and if I scroll down, there's my proving reference for dreams of snakes for argentum nitricum, okay? Just by double clicking on the rubric, takes us straight into, and that is contained in, what book is this? Allen's Handbook of Materia Medica. Doesn't get much better than that, does it? Okay. So we can search in references of different types. And I would encourage you to play around with this a little. If you just want to search philosophy and you've got some words pertaining to philosophy, that might be a quick way that you can get into your favorite part of the library. Okay, how am I doing on time? Oh, can't possibly be so quick. All right. I'm going to throw some stuff at you really, really quickly. There's something called a document mix. First of all, let's clear all of this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an example. Now I do have to, up here in the upper left-hand corner, this is where we're going to access a pre-made document mix. I made one of these the other day. Recall, now you see that I'm recalling a document mix, and the one I'm going to recall here is called vet mix. Okay, now, first of all, let me clear off all this stuff that we did already. Let's just clear all the clipboards. Okay, I don't care about saving that stuff. Now, what did I do? Again, I'm going to close all my stuff here. Okay. What did I just do? Again, I said file, I recalled a document mix, and the one I recalled is called the vet mix. Now, let me just show you what I actually have here. And let's hope for the best. I'm going to again use my favorite word, heat, for a search. And I'm going to search in the current document mix. Okay. And what I have got, the results of my search here are just these veterinary books. Okay. Because what I did is I went in and I created a mix of documents that had just my veterinary materia medica included so that I could search just in a limited group of books. Okay. Once that document mix is loaded, it's going to stay there. Let's look at the actual documents, if you will. When I click on to see my entire list of references, you'll notice that the books that have to do with veterinary medicine have a little checkbox. I checked the box in front of them. Okay, that's how I created my document mix. So let us see if we can create one of these. And I'm going to unselect all titles. I'm going to go to the repertories, and I'm going to also unselect all titles. So I've no longer got a document mix happening, but let's just say that I've got a couple of books that I'd like to create as a mix for myself. I'm going to use Boracay, I'm going to use Clark, and I'm going to use Fatak. There are 3 repertories that I want to call a document mix for myself. I checked the boxes in front of them. Now I'm going to go up here again under File, and I am going to save that selection as a document mix, and I'm going to call it my list of reps. Okay, there it is. Now I've got my search term. I'd better recall that, hadn't I? I saved it, but let me make sure that I bring it up. My list of reps. I've brought up my document mix now. And when I go ahead and do my search, I'm going to search for my word heat just in the mix of documents that I wanted. So that document mix option is here for you at the bottom, and you're going to create, save your document mixes under the file menu here. Okay, this is reviewed in the document that I have for you. Now there's one other search area opportunity that we have, and that is, oh, it's weird when I put the mouse up there like that. Okay, so let's clear out that search. You see how to create a document mix and do some document mixing. The other option that we have is something called a search area. There's a big button for search area, and when I click on that button, a window opens up. Now, I happen to have a search area already created. So all I've got to do is from the search area window here, I'm going to open an existing search area. And oh, this one I have called Fluish. Yeah. These are, rather than individual books, these are actual rubrics that I've selected and dragged into this window. So from my Synthesis 2009 Treasure Edition, I'm referring to the tongue discoloration rubric and subrubrics, the fever chapter, these couple of stomach rubrics having to do with thirst and thirstlessness, perspiration chapter, and chill chapter. That's my search area now. In other words, when I launched my search for my word, let's just do the heat ag. Now, what did I do here? I was searching in the current document mix. Remember that one? Now I'm going to go to the current search area. And my rubrics that I have searched are exclusively from this set of rubrics. So it squeezes down my search in the synthesis repertory to, in this case, the rubrics that I'm really interested in when I'm dealing with a fever situation. Okay. So again, the search area allows us to select a group of rubrics, and these can come from multiple books, and then I can actually save these. Let's just go ahead and add a couple more things to our search area here. Let's go to Boriki's repertory, and let's just say, I'm going to just take the fever chapter. I'm going to take the entire fever chapter, drag it over here. Whoop, it doesn't, apyrexia. Let's do that. Come on now. Oh, I guess I have to drag it from book itself. Here we go. There's my rubric. Okay, it's not going for some reason. Do as I say, not as I do. We're going to have to review how to create these search areas. Okay. I will go into some detail in the document on how to do that. But that is another place where you may find it convenient to create a search area in advance. Oh, okay. And it looks like also from here, I can open and edit the search area clipboard right from here. Okay. Let us move on because time is a wasting. And the last thing I want to go over are the graphs. Okay. So this is something that's just so kind of cool. And I'm going to do this would be, first of all, let me open up my synthesis repertory. Okay. There's a method to my madness. I'm going to open up my synthesis treasure edition repertory. That's going to be my main repertory that I'm using since I don't have my Adonis loaded. I've cleared out my search. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to try and work a case using the graphic interface or the graph interface here. So my first search that I'm going to do, and I had this all set up in advance. Where are my terms? Okay, actual case here. White tongue. See what I'm doing? Those words together, all words in the same sentence. Search in all open repertories. Okay. There are the results of my search. So I just searched white tongue in synthesis. Got it? Here's a graph. Watch what happens. Now the program is going to go through and it's going to take that same search, but it's going to display it in a graphical format. Okay. Bear with me. I'm going to go back to the search. Now, instead of erasing and clearing things out, for my next symptom, I'm going to add a new search tab. You see this little plus for a new search, and my next symptom is going to be thirstless and fever. Okay. And again, I'm just going to launch the search. And now you see, here's my white tongue. Here's my thirst and fever, but what does my graph look like now? Let's take a look. All right. Now what's happening is the graphing portion of the program is keeping track of these individual searches I've made, and it's giving me a graphical display. Let's go back to our search. And again, if I want to add another search term, I'm going to click the plus to do a new search. And let's do real quick here, dry heat. We'll throw that one on there. There's my dry heat. I'm not even going to bother looking at the graph just yet, but I'm going to add one last one here. So my final search term here is going to be line ag. Okay. So a very typical kind of, acute presentation. Let us now remember I did these by adding one on top of the next. Let's look at our graph and let's see what we have. How does this graphical interface thing work? Okay, first of all, I like to select the type of graph. I kind of like the cylinder graph display a little better. Okay, now, quite obviously, all the usual suspects are here. Here's our pulsatilla. Here's our phosphorus. Here's our nux. Where's our bryonia? Oh, there she is. Okay, now I can change. So I've just got this graph done, right? I did 4 simple word searches. I can turn off and turn on display. You see, I unchecked the box for lying an egg and it went away. I can turn it back on again. The order of things, look, if I take off lying aggravates, the order of things changed substantially. Pulsatilla was first, and now look, arsenicum bops up to the top. But here's the really beautiful part of creating this kind of a search. From here, if I want to go to the remedies that are listed, first of all, let me show you one thing. If I slide over here to the right, so this first group of remedies all contains all 4 search terms. Now, all of a sudden, when I get to ammonium carb, it's only got 3 of the 4 search terms. That's why the bars get taller again. So let me just slide back over to the left. But here's what's really cute about this thing. Where I've got the remedy pulsatilla here, if I double click on pulsatilla, all of a sudden it doesn't look like the advanced search, but it's taken a whole bunch of stuff, thrown it on a search. This is on the simple search now. But I've got all of the rubrics for each one of those search terms and pulsatilla right here in one fell swoop. Okay, so here's where pulsatilla came out in those searches. I can go back to my graph and I can also modify this. I say, instead of searching just in open repertories only, I've got a search now and I could go, let me search for references of, let me search for keynotes. So now what I did is I did the white tongue, thirsless fever, dry heat, lying egg in the remedy pulsatilla in the keynotes. And here they are. Here's my keynote search for those exact references. Okay, let me go back to my graph and let's try just one more of these just for kicks. Let's go ahead and look at sepia. So if I double click on sepia, the program is automatically, now it's going to launch the search with whatever parameter I had up here. So I can change this and I could say, oh, hey, what about the current search area? Isn't that search area that fluish thing that I had up? Yeah, interesting, huh? Okay. That is what I have for you. And I'm just not asleep. Do you always click the view docs in one list? No, I don't. I don't click it all the time, but I do click it if I want to select a whole bunch of stuff out of that one list. How did I create the vet mix? I'm going to go over that in the what do you call it? In the document that I put up for you guys, because we're running out of time. And can I do yeah, I'm going to have to do the search area thing from scratch. Because for some reason it wasn't working. So I'm going to just put that part, like the search area in the document mix for you. I'm going to detail those and maybe I'll even do another little short video that just goes step by step through those and they can upload that alongside this one. Okay, now what I need to do, first of all, is jump out of the full screen mode. And I want to go into, I'm going to take some more questions, but I first want to go to, look, here's all the cheat sheets, people. This is the stuff you're going to get. Oh, here's another case, by the way. This is another one that I did just off this case that I've kind of been stuck on. And it actually brought up some interesting thoughts. This woman's had a bazillion remedies, but I thought, well, let me just throw this up here. So again, these are just a couple of examples. You can see the search terms that I used and then created the bar graph. What I want to do is I want to talk to you for just a moment about your RadarOpus engine, because if you have the functionality that is available to you in your software depends on what's called the engine. Okay, so there is a page which we can look at. Let me see if I just click. Is that going to take me where I want to go? Yeah. Whoops. Come on, Marcy, back up. There it is, the engine comparison table. All right. If you've got, depending on which package you have, you are going to have more or less functionality in your program. So, of course, the advanced practitioner, everyday practitioner, blah, blah, blah. You see all of this. Now, I'm going to highlight something here. See where it says symptom clipboards? You will notice that I have I've got the maximum. I've got 12 symptom clipboards here. I'll tell you something. Wouldn't want to be without the bigger engine with the more amount of clipboards. Different number of analysis methods. What we're covering today, much of what we're covering today is having to do with the search as opposed to some of these other functions. So let me just show you some of the things that are important in some of the higher engines. If you've got a smaller package, doesn't mean you have to add more books, doesn't mean you have to add more repertories, but you can add the engine, in other words, the computer functionality to do some of the more advanced things. Like, for example, open several search windows and compare different search results. That's with the higher engine. Include the materia medica symptoms in the analysis. Remember how I was selecting from keynotes and saving those as a single rubric? That comes in the higher engine. Search for remedy by right-clicking on the remedy. Yeah. And creating a graph. Okay, so this graphing thing also comes only with the higher engines. So what I want to say is, even if you don't need a huge library because you don't read provings and old journals and those kinds of things. You don't have to upgrade your library necessarily in order to upgrade the engine and get the higher functionality out of the program. So right now, there is a sale going on where an engine upgrade would be available. Instead of spending $600 to make a leap, say, from this level to this level, or from this to this, the price is $299. So if you go to, and let's go here to our very last page, the RadarOpus North America homepage, I've got it linked here. You will notice that there's a sale going on. See? Oh, I've actually got the thing in my box or in my cart. You know, I don't know where you're going to find the engine upgrade sale piece on the website. Isn't that wonderful? You probably will need to get a hold of trustee orders at radaropus.us, and they will be able to help you if you're interested in getting the engine upgrade so you can do some of this stuff that we've been doing today. Now, there is another session coming up next Thursday. I believe that's just in 7 days on Heiner-Fry's polarity analysis, and that'll be Luke Norland giving you that presentation. So I would encourage you to, even if you don't have these modules, check them out. I think that one's also on sale. Even if you don't have it, it's worth checking out. And what I'd like to do with the remaining time that we have is I'm going to go back to my question list here. And I'm just going to kind of start with what we left off. We've got maybe 5-6 minutes here. Oh, how do I use the family selection in advanced search? Okay, great question. You're right, because we didn't. All right, let's do something here really quickly. Do you remember? Now, my search window somehow got set up here to the simple search, but I can get to the advanced, remember, just by clicking the triple dot magnifier. Gee, I had an example ready on this one, and I'm trying to remember what I was. Oh, yeah. All right, let's clear out all of our searches. And let us say, for example, that I'm going to search in, I've got a list of symptoms here, and this is going to be, I'm just looking for general characteristics of a group of remedies. So I'm going to put stomach, all right, bear with me, and I'm going to put fear, and I'm going to put heat, okay? So those are some general ideas that I'd like some information about. And in the families search field, I'm going to search in the mammalia, or the mammals. So I'm just going to type in here, M-A-M-M, mammalia comes up. It's in blue, so I'm just going to hit enter. Enter again. And oh, it says search in the current area. Well, I got a whole lot of nothing, didn't I? I better search in all documents, hadn't I? So if you get nothing, first thing you want to look at is, where am I searching? And let's go to all documents. Actually, let's not go to all documents. Let's go to all references. Okay. Let's just search the Materia Medica, if you will. And oh, so I'm scratching my head going, now, why do I have so few results? Can you spot my mistake? Here where it says search words in English, I'm searching all those in the same paragraph. I actually want to search them separately. Any result that has at least one of these words. Okay, so I'm searching for either stomach or fear or heat in all references and mammals. And let's see what happens. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now it's interesting. You'll notice that, again, my results, my references are broken down into these various groupings. So I could, for example, limit my search just a little more and say all references of the provings. That might be interesting. Now, here are my provings. So I've searched just the provings, just the mammals, if you will, for stomach, fear, or heat. And, you know, I thought this was kind of cool because what I was able to do, yeah, I kind of did one like this. Let's just select all rubrics. Let's just drag these to a clipboard and look. This actually will do, these are the animal remedies that have got references in provings. So if I wanted to know, hey, what's the Carboanimalis situation having to do with heat? Well, we would imagine there it is. And the reference is in Allen's Encyclopedia of Pure Materia Medica. Doesn't get much better than that, does it? Hopefully that answered your question. So I have other families available here. For example, I can put Asteraceae, or Asterales, for example. I sometimes use a different plant system. There's my search. I'm just searching, and I don't want to search in provings. Now what I want to do is I want to search in my regular Materia Medica. Okay. And so, you know, it'd be kind of interesting. You could probably graph this thing. Yeah? Where's my graph? And obviously, here are all my Asterales are going to come up to the top of the list. Okay. Hopefully that gives you some thoughts there. And okay, I'm gonna, yeah, because I got like 1 minute. How do we use the family selection? We got that. Missed the beginning. How will you have access to the PowerPoint? I believe everything is going to be made available on the training website, which I'm going to show you the videos, training videos. I'll show you that in just a moment. And oh yeah, so same question. I'm creating a PDF. And like I said, I'm probably going to do a separate little short video. I'll just record on how to create those document mixes and search areas. And then I'll have them upload everything. But let's look at where that's located. Okay, for those who are still on the call. Yeah, if you want to find me, I do one-on-ones and that kind of thing. So if anybody has interest, you want to book a one-on-one session with me, bring your problems, bring your joys and miseries. You can find me at marcymearns.com. I'm a registered homeopath here in rural Northern California. But let us go to see where you can find the videos. And if I'm mistaken about where this thing is going to be located, I will have them let you know. All right. But if you go to the RadarOpus.us, it's important to look for the .us one, and you click, here's a tab here or a button here for training. And if you go to free training videos, this is where all this stuff, I believe, is going to be listed. Now, the only issue with this is there are so many videos. So here's a little trick. You can put my name in here. See where it says search. If you put Marcy, currently I have these getting started, part 1, 2, and 3. Oh, and look, and here's a training. I don't even know what training this is that I did, but it should appear here, I would think. You could probably also type in here in the search field, you could probably type search, and you will find videos related to various kinds of searches, how to do various kinds of searches. And hopefully this one will be listed there shortly. Okay. Wow. I want to thank everybody for coming. Again, any questions or concerns, if RadarOpus team is, now let me just show you here how to get a hold of them. See, contact us right here. Just go to the RadarOpus.us, go to contact us. Here's how to get a hold of sales and sales support. If you can't find something, let them know. And again, marcymearns.com. That's me. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, wishing you all the very best and enjoy exploring. Take care, everyone. Thanks. Okay. In this short video, I'm going to go over a couple of additional places where we can do our search, another couple of options for a refined search. The first thing I'm going to do before I launch into where to search is I'm just going to review and pull up for you one of my search queries. If you recall here in the search, in the advanced search window here, there's a folder which will allow me to dip into previous searches that I've done. And I have this one called flu modalities. And when I open that file, it brings up that list of terms that I often like to use when I'm working on an influenza case. And in this instance, I can check and uncheck the boxes, and it saves me a lot of time from to search those words. And that's going to save me some time from having to type in everything I want to search. But what we want to look at is where then am I going to search for these terms? Now, if you remember, this button up here allows me to select various places that I'd like to conduct my search. And first one I'm going to focus on is something called a document mix. Okay, so what is a document mix? Let us just open up our repertories table of contents. Oh, look at that. I already started selecting some documents. The document mix allows me to select shall we say, a group of favorite books, mix of repertories, materia medica that I would like to use for my searching. And so it's going to eliminate a lot of the research results that I'm simply not interested in. So what I've done here in the repertory section is I've gone ahead and I've checked off the boxes for some documents that I want to use in my document mix. I'm just going to scroll down here a bit. And since I'm thinking about doing, some acutes, I'm also going to add to my documents mix here. I'm going to add Morrison's Desktop Companion, which is included in the concepts, as well as Schroyen's Acute Diseases concepts. Okay, so I've got a number of documents selected in the repertories table of contents. Let's switch over to references. Just for the sake of discussion here, I'm going to say I want to put in a couple of materia medica or references having to do with fever. So rather than scroll everything down, I'm just going to start typing here FEV, and that shortens up my list of available references here in therapeutics. I've got Allen's Therapeutics of Intermittent Fever. I've got another document here entitled Homeopathic Treatment of Non-Malarial Fevers. That looks pretty good. Let's put that in our document mix. Okay, let me just bring that search window back up. Okay, so what I have done is I have gone through and selected the documents I'm interested in including in my mix. Now, where to save my mix, if I should like to keep this for future reference, let's do that now. I'm just going to mouse up to the main file menu here at the very top. So you see I have RadarOpus as the first entry, and then I have File. And when I select File, I can save my selection as a document mix. So let's do that real quick. Just going to click Save, and I'm going to have that as my favorite mix. Okay, just for fun. And you'll notice the program automatically puts that into a .mix format. And I'm just going to save that for future. Okay, so now let's go ahead and close that table of contents window. Let's go ahead and see what happens when I restrict my search. Let's say I want to search for cold drinks. Okay, so I'm going to check the cold drinks boxes, and I'm going to search in the current document mix. You see I select that here. So when I perform that search, lo and behold, my results of search here are limited to those documents that are part of my mix. Okay, so it's a nice way to narrow down my search and focus just on the documents that I know I want to use in this particular instance. Let's just compare that. For example, if I were to search in all documents, let's just see what happens. You see, I just change my selection here, and I definitely get results. It's just a lot of stuff to plow through. So the use of the document mix, I say I can just go back to current document mix. There we go. Or I could select a different document mix. Let's see if we can do that. A different document mix. Oh, I had one I created earlier here called acutes. Okay, let's just see. Probably got pretty much, no, it has different, actually, oh, some of that veterinary stuff crept in, didn't it? Okay, that's probably not such a great mix. Let's try one more. My repertories. Okay, this is a really cool one because it's just, I don't have any references selected, but I've got the repertories that I want to focus on in this instance, you see? So that's the use of the document mix as an option here. It's the very last option on our list. Let's take a look now at the other search choice that we haven't looked at yet, is the search area. Okay, so you see there's a button up here just next to the search magnifier called search area. And when I click search area, oh, look at that. It's got the list that I compiled already right in there for us to work with. So what I've done here is I have created a search area. Now this is a little bit different than the document mix, because you'll notice that in this search area window, I've got the repertory listed and then a chapter. So what did I do here? Let's go ahead. First of all, I'm just going to clear that box out, and I'm going to open up what I call a clean slate area. Okay, there's nothing in here now in my search area. So how do I go about compiling a search area, and why might I want to do that? Okay, well, let's go to our repertories again. First of all, I am going to right click, and I'm going to unselect all these titles that were previously selected. I just don't like to leave these document mixes in here for any length of time. So I'm going to make sure that I've got all of these guys unselected, just a little kind of housekeeping sort of stuff that I like to do. Okay, so with our list of repertories now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know, I just want to focus on the fever chapter, or it could be the dreams chapter, whatever chapter you have an interest in, or combination of chapters. But in this case, what I'm going to do to compile my search area is I'm going to open the fever chapter in each one of my documents. So let's start with Boracay. So I open my Boracay's repertory. Now this window is in the way, isn't it? So tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to close it up and watch how this works. So I'm in my Boricke's repertory here. You'll see in the repertories window, and I want to go to fever. So I'm just going to start typing FEV. There's my fever chapter, enter, and return or enter one more time to take me directly to the fever chapter. Now, all you got to do is take that rubric and drag it up to that search area icon, and you see it gets added in. Okay. Let's look at fevers in, for example, let's look in that same Bonninghausen therapeutic pocketbook. So again, now in this case, I don't think I'm going to get to fever directly by typing. Oh, I did. Okay, perfect. Good. I've gone to the fever check. Now what's going to happen is when I choose to use this particular search area, it's going to search only the rubrics that appear below, or in this case, in this fever chapter. Okay. And just for the sake of discussion here, let's go to Murphy's repertory, and let's, instead of fever, let's look at a chill repertory. So if I just look for CHILL chills, there's the chills chapter in Murphy's repertory. Let's add that to our search area just for kicks. So I'm just going to grab that, drag it up here, and now let's take a look at what we've got in our search area. Okay, I've got here repertory version 3. That's Murphy's repertory, the chills chapter. Here is Alan's translation of Bonninghausen's therapeutic pocketbook fever chapter, as well as it says repertory. It's Boricke, if we remember, Boricke's chapter for fever. Okay, that's our search area. Let's go ahead and do a search. Okay. First of all, I'm going to clear off everything. Well, I don't want to clear off everything, do I? Because I kind of like my list of words there. I'm just going to hide that table of contents of the results. And let's go ahead and search for our cold drinks. Now, the difference is we're not searching in a mix of documents, but we're searching in a very specific search area, that one I just created. So it's going to look in basically 3 chapters in 3 different books. And here are our search results. Okay, so here are my cold drinks results from Murphy. Here are my cold drinks results from Boricke, and apparently in Bonninghausen, there were none. So we could also say, let's just say cold aggravates. Let's repeat the search in the current search area. Whoop, I almost did document mix, didn't I? Okay. And let's see what we've got. Cold aggravates. Again, we've got just Murphy. Well, we're batting 1,000 here. Oh, you know what? Yeah, let's put all the words in the same paragraph, and let's do it again. Oh, you know what? I tried to put ag and Emil together. That's sure not going to work, is it? Okay, search in the current search area. Et voila. Again, we're just stuck with Murphy, cold ameliorates. Okay, well, I think you get the idea on the search area. Now, search in the current area, that's all well and good. We can also, from the same menu, open and edit the search area clipboard. So let's say I said, you know what, I really don't have, I don't like that Bonninghausen. It's not doing me any good here. If I want to remove this from the list, I can simply click on the rubric I want to remove. You'll notice this icon here becomes dark blue. It says remove the selected rubric, and it just pulls it right out of there. But I can add more. Let's go back to my repertories again, and let's go to my Schroyen's synthesis, because I don't think we put anything from synthesis in there, did we? And let's say we want to search in synthesis in fever. Now notice mind fever. That is not what I want, is it? That's what we get for typing too fast there. FEV. There we go. That's bringing up my fever chapter in Schroyen's. I'll just drag that over here to my, well, it doesn't want me to drag to the window, does it? It still wants me to drag to that icon up there. That's fine. We can do that. There it is. Oh, it didn't get rid of my therapeutic pocketbook, did it? There we go. Gotten rid of it now. I think I probably have to save that. So let's just do that, and then we won't have to muck around with it. And this is going to be my search. Let's just call it fever search area. Okay. And I can use that whenever I like. because now when I want to go and do my search, I can either search in all documents. That's a bit of a rough search for cold ameliorates. I can search in all repertories, as we've seen. I can search in all references, and voila, let's see how we do searching in the current search area. Okay, well, cold amel only comes in for Murphy's repertory. Let us just go warm drinks. Let's do one more. There we go. Yeah, bit of a limited search there. There's our search area. Yeah, I'm only searching 2 repertories there. So you get the idea on the search area. Okay, I hope that was helpful. And yeah, all the best with your repertorization, your advanced searching. We look forward to when we next shall meet.